They say love is a young person's game, but what if that's the biggest lie ever told? At 45, 55, or 65, when life has taught you who you really are, when you've shed the masks of youth and embraced your authentic self, that's when love becomes not just possible, but explosive. This isn't about settling or finding companionship. This is about the intoxicating rush of falling deeply, madly, completely in love when you thought those days were behind you. Welcome to the most passionate chapter of your life. There's something profoundly different about falling in love as a mature woman. It's not the desperate clinging of youth or the anxious attachment of your 20s. It's a full-bodied, eyes wide open tumble into something that feels both foreign and familiar, like coming home to a place you've never been. Sarah, a 52-year-old marketing executive, describes it perfectly. When I met David at my friend's art gallery opening, I felt like I was experiencing love for the first time. Not because I hadn't loved before I had a 20-year marriage, but because I had never loved as me. The real me. The me who knew what she wanted, who wasn't afraid of her own intensity, who could look at a man and see him clearly without the rose-colored glasses of inexperience. This phenomenon isn't uncommon. Psychologists call it late-life love, but that clinical term doesn't capture the raw intensity of what actually happens. When mature women fall in love, they bring decades of self-knowledge, emotional intelligence, and hard-won wisdom to the experience. They know their worth, understand their desires, and aren't willing to compromise their authenticity for anyone, even someone they're crazy about. The neurological reality is fascinating too. While young brains are flooded with oxytocin and dopamine in new relationships, mature brains process love differently. The emotional regulation that comes with age means these women can sustain intense feelings without the dramatic ups and downs of youth. They can be passionate without being destructive, intense without being consuming, but perhaps most importantly, they love without the fear that once paralyzed them. Fear of being alone, fear of not being enough, fear of making the wrong choice. These anxieties that plague younger relationships simply carry less weight. They've survived heartbreak, raised children, built careers, lost parents, faced their own mortality. They know that love, even if it ends, won't destroy them. This creates a unique cocktail, the wisdom to choose well combined with the freedom to feel deeply. It's why so many women report that falling in love after 40 feels more real, more grounded, yet somehow more magical than anything they experienced in their youth. The awakening isn't just about finding love, it's about discovering that the capacity for overwhelming, transformative passion doesn't diminish with age. If anything, it intensifies, refined by experience, and purified by self-knowledge. Society has sold mature women a dangerous lie, that passion is for the young, that after a certain age, love should be sensible, practical, companionate. That explosive chemistry, sleepless nights thinking about someone, the delicious agony of new desire, these are supposedly the province of 20-somethings, with their whole lives ahead of them. This myth doesn't just diminish older women's romantic potential, it actively sabotages it. How many incredible love stories never begin because a 48-year-old woman talks herself out of pursuing someone she's attracted to, convinced she's too old for this nonsense? How many passionate connections are stifled because mature women have been conditioned to prioritize stability over chemistry? Dr. Helen Fisher's research on love and attraction reveals that the brain's capacity for romantic love doesn't age out. The neural pathways that create attraction, the biochemical responses that generate passion, these remain active throughout life. Yet culturally, we act as if women expire romantically at some arbitrary age, while men are considered distinguished and desirable. Well, into their 70s and beyond, the reality is that mature women often make better lovers and partners precisely because they've learned to break free from conventional expectations. They've stopped performing femininity and started embodying it. They know what they like in bed and aren't afraid to ask for it. They've learned to communicate their needs clearly rather than expecting partners to read their minds. They've developed the confidence to be vulnerable without being needy. Consider Maria, a 58-year-old architect who found herself in the most passionate relationship of her life with a 45-year-old chef. I spent my 30s trying to be what I thought men wanted, she reflects. Accommodating, agreeable, sexy but not too sexual, smart but not intimidating. When I met Carlos, I was just me, opinionated, demanding, sensual, complicated. And he was completely captivated. It turns out authenticity is the most attractive quality of all. The breaking point comes when women realize that all those years of trying to fit into society's narrow definitions of appropriate behavior have been wasted energy. The rules that seem so important, don't be too eager, don't appear too sexual, don't want too much, suddenly seem absurd. Why shouldn't a 55-year-old woman feel butterflies? Why shouldn't she stay up all night texting with someone who makes her laugh? Why shouldn't she feel that familiar ache of longing? The myth of the appropriate, mature woman is just another cage, and the key has been in their hands all along. When mature women fall in love, they don't just dip their toes in the water, they dive headfirst into the deep end. This intensity often surprises everyone, including the women themselves. They expect to feel something pleasant, warm, companionate. Instead, they find themselves consumed, obsessed, feeling like teenagers again, but with the emotional vocabulary of adults. The intensity comes from multiple sources. First, there's the element of surprise. Many women past 40 have resigned themselves to the idea that intense romantic love is behind them. When it strikes, the unexpectedness amplifies every sensation. It's like discovering you can still run a marathon when you thought your athletic days were over-thrilling and slightly disorienting. Then there's the awareness of time. Unlike younger people who assume they have endless opportunities for love, mature women understand that profound connections are rare and precious. This knowledge adds urgency to every moment, every touch, every conversation. They don't take the relationship for granted because they know how difficult it is to find someone who truly sees and appreciates you. The emotional sophistication that comes with age also intensifies the experience. These women can articulate their feelings, understand their responses, and communicate their needs in ways that create deeper intimacy faster. They're not playing games or following scripts, they're showing up authentically, which creates a level of connection that's impossible to achieve when you're still figuring out who you are. Jennifer, a 49-year-old therapist, describes falling in love with her partner Michael. I felt like I was on fire from the inside out. Not just sexually, though that was incredible, but emotionally. I would lie awake thinking about conversations we'd had, analyzing every gesture, every word. My friends kept asking if I was okay because I seemed so lit up. I told them I felt more like myself than I had in 20 years. There's also the phenomenon of integration, the ability to love someone with your whole self rather than just parts of yourself. Young love often involves presenting your best self, hiding your flaws and complexities. Mature love integrates everything, the career woman and the sensual being, the mother and the lover, the strong, independent person and the one who melts at a certain touch. This intensity isn't without its challenges. The same self-knowledge that makes mature love so profound can also make it more complicated. These women know their patterns, their triggers, their non-negotiables. They love fiercely, but they also guard themselves intelligently. The result is a love that burns bright but sustainable, intense but not destructive. The secret is learning to trust the intensity rather than fear it, to embrace the overwhelming feelings as a gift rather than a threat to their carefully constructed lives. Falling deeply in love as a mature woman isn't just about candlelit dinners and romantic getaways. It's about navigating a complex landscape of practical considerations, emotional baggage, and social expectations that younger couples rarely face. The passion is real, but so are the complications. First, there's the logistics of blending established lives. Unlike 20-somethings who are still figuring out their careers and living situations, mature women often have built entire worlds around their independence. Successful careers, established social circles, grown children, elderly parents, financial responsibilities, cherished routines, all of these must be considered when love enters the picture. Linda, a 54-year-old attorney, found herself madly in love with Robert, a divorced father of 2 teenagers. The love part was easy, she says. The how do we make this work part was like solving a 1,000-piece puzzle. My condo, his house, his kids every other weekend, my travel schedule, his ex-wife's opinions, our different approaches to money. Suddenly, we weren't just 2 people falling in love. We were 2 corporations trying to merge. Then there's the emotional archaeology that mature relationships require. Everyone over 40 comes with history, previous marriages, significant relationships, children, losses, disappointments, patterns of behavior developed over decades. When the honeymoon phase settles into real intimacy, these layers begin to emerge and must be navigated with care. The challenge isn't just dealing with your partner's past, but confronting your own. Falling deeply in love again can trigger unexpected emotions about previous relationships. Why didn't it feel like this before? What was missing in earlier relationships? How much of who you were then was real, and how much was performance? These questions can be both liberating and unsettling. Social pressures add another layer of complexity. While friends and family might be happy that you've found love, they may also have opinions about everything from the age difference to how quickly the relationship is progressing to how much time you're spending together. The same behavior that would be celebrated in a 25-year-old staying up all night talking, rearranging your schedule to see someone, being completely absorbed in new love might be viewed as inappropriate or concerning in someone over 50. Physical considerations also play a role. Bodies change, energy levels shift, health concerns emerge. The passionate intensity of new love must be balanced against the realities of aging bodies and the vulnerability that comes with physical intimacy after a certain age. This isn't necessarily limiting. Many couples report that emotional maturity creates better sexual connection than they ever experience when young, but it does require honest communication and patience. The key to navigating these challenges is maintaining perspective. The complications are real, but they're not insurmountable. In many cases, the same life experience that creates logistical complexity also provides the tools to solve it. Mature women know how to communicate, compromise, and prioritize. They understand that love isn't just about feeling good together, it's about building something sustainable and meaningful. The goal isn't to eliminate the challenges, but to approach them as partners, using the intensity of your connection as fuel for creative problem solving, rather than allowing practical concerns to diminish the passion. The greatest tragedy isn't growing older, it's convincing yourself that your capacity for transformative love has an expiration date. Every day, women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond are discovering that their most passionate, authentic, and fulfilling romantic relationships are still ahead of them, not behind them. Your wisdom is not a limitation. It's your greatest asset in love. Your independence isn't a barrier. It's what makes you irresistible. Your self-knowledge isn't baggage. It's the foundation for deeper intimacy than you ever thought possible. Ready to rewrite your love story? Stop waiting for permission to want what you want. Your most passionate chapter is waiting to be written.